So Hollywood fooled around and found out, and now more and more stars are choosing to stay quiet about politics.
Oh,
and,
what a shame.
and they're getting backlash for that too. So we're gonna talk about the new memo that has gone out in Hollywood, which is basically STFU about politics. It can cause us damage. We'll talk about some people that have tanked their careers or gotten weirdly political and definitely have rubbed people the wrong way. And we'll talk about this change in Hollywood. And I think this is basically Hollywood going into survival mode. I mean, obviously they still believe what they believe, but I think the loudest voices have created a very incorrect perception of where the majority of people in Hollywood actually are.
It isn't even the loudest voices. It's just like they keep going to the award shows and they just have to feel like either because they feel threatened and they have to do it so they keep their jobs, or because they actually believe it. Like until the Oscars, they were all up there at every event stage, just like barfing out their points of view and opinions on everyone.
So let's talk about that barf. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
This is CLOWNFISH TV, and we talk about the entertainment industry, and we've been following the weird trajectory of Hollywood celebrities over the last, at least 5 or 6 years. Now, look, you've always had outliers in Hollywood. They got weirdly political, but they were like the outliers, right? The Jane Fondas and the Barbra Streisands and the Richard Geres and whatever. And people made fun of them for taking their platform and making it political. But over the last few years, it has been expected if you're a Hollywood celebrity that you have to say and do the right things because you have a platform.
10 or 15 years, honestly. And because it was several years ago that Ricky Gervais said stuff about it because it got so ridiculous.
I was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Kneon has no sense of time, just FYI.
I don't. But I mean, I'm just saying it seems like in the last at least 5 or 6 years, it's really escalated where whatever the thing is that month that you're supposed to be outraged by, you have to make a big ass production about it. And if you don't make a big ass production about it, then why didn't you make it? Why didn't you wear the pin? Where's your pin? Where's your sticker? Where's your ribbon? You know, you got to do ridiculous. You got to do the thing, right? Or you get ostracized. I don't even know if it's by your peers, but you get ostracized by the terminally online. And maybe Hollywood is starting to realize that the terminally online are not their actual audience. It's not their actual audience, that these people just look for shit to be upset about. And we never had access to them before, right? Like, thanks to the internet, we have access to everybody's thoughts.
Yeah,
and some
24/7.
Yeah, 24/7. And it was much easier when, you'd have to like write a letter, and that letter would never get to that person because somebody at the front desk would read it and be like, this is batshit crazy. I'm not going to bother them with it.
Yeah.
Throw it in the garbage can. But here we are. So this is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. We'll talk about this, and we're going to talk about some other stuff too, including Brie Larson's redemption arc, which is wild to see. But the Hollywood Reporter, to comment or not to comment, stars wrestle with politics on the red carpet. It used to be that celebrities landed in hot water when they dared speak out about politics. Nowadays, they're getting slammed when they don't. And this is coming
No, they're not. They need to shut up.
Yeah, right.
They're getting slammed by who? The other celebrities? Because most people don't give a shit. The vast majority are tired of hearing it.
So Josh Duhamel did he did the Megyn Kelly show, which people were pissed off about that to begin with. But he was basically like, nobody gives a shit about my politics. But we're seeing some people that have been very vocal, walk it back to some degree. Even, Anson Mount from Star Trek was kind of like, hey, I shouldn't have, castigated all Christians. That probably wasn't very cool of me. I'm like, no, 10, 20 years ago, like you would have been run out in a rail. If you're like, here's an entire group of people and I'm going to attack them over their religion, they'd be like, yeah.
Well, except unless you're Christian. If you're white, straight male, you're literally the devil according to these people. But here, it's just, I think people in general are tired of hearing about it. And these people need to shut the fuck up. No one cares. And if their people are agents and stuff are telling them to shut up, good.
Yeah.
Good. Because we're tired of hearing it, and all you're doing is alienate. That's what he said too. Why would you want to alienate half your audience? You might have strong opinions on things, but those are your opinions, and you can talk to your friends and stuff about them. But you don't need to post it for everybody else to see and like tell everybody else what they should think because I'm a celebrity. So what?
Yeah, it's weird how this works because for the longest time, if celebrities had some weird opinions about stuff or whatever, It was kind of like, okay, they're eccentric. I think in the comic book industry, we had guys like Neil Adams, who was a phenomenally talented artist, one of the best actually that have ever lived. But the guy thought he had some really weird ideas. I think it was hollow Earth theory or something like that. That we got like lizard people living in the middle of the planet, and he would talk about it all the time, unironically. But he never got canceled for that, right? We just kind of like, oh yeah, okay, Neil's a little quirky, whatever. And now, like every damn thing you say, it gets analyzed. And if you don't say the right, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody's allowed. I mean, that's what's so weird about it, is nobody's allowed to be human anymore. Like you've got to,
even with what they're like saying, they're worried about saying the wrong thing. The problem about that is the people that are getting mad at you for not saying enough are the ones that it's magnified, because that's when you get the media, because they're all definitely have a lean, and then you get the media and stuff in there, and then they're the ones chastising them and like, don't you think, people, don't you think they didn't say enough? And it's, how dare they, trying to amplify. But the reality is people just don't want you to say anything. They don't care what you think. Don't get your award, go do your job. Like, let us decide for ourselves how you want to vote. We don't need you to tell us. We don't need you to tell us what to think.
Yeah.
Any of that crap.
So yeah, they said being canceled for making comments considered too rogue, insensitive, inflammatory, or divisive, specifically on political topics, is something celebrities have been dealing with for decades. I would say the last decade more so than other decades. Getting criticized for staying silent, that's a whole new battle stars are having to deal with. Either way, it's a minefield, as one longtime entertainment PR executive put it to the Hollywood Reporter. So, I mean, executives have to be looking at this too, and it's like every time one of these idiots opens their mouths, we can just hear the money being drained out of our bank account.
Right, it's not
like
even
we're gonna
about
lose
sides.
money on these. Yeah,
it's not even about sides. It's about the fact that just don't say anything at all. It doesn't matter. You just go up there and thank who you need to thank.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell people who to vote for. You don't tell people what's what. You just get up there, because it's across the board. You're not going to anger people if you don't say anything, are you?
No. Well, no. Some people do get angry, like where your black squares.
Who effing cares?
Yeah, and that's the
they're
thing.
such a minority. Who cares?
You need to get past that, because it's not their job to tell you how to run your. It really is a business. Your persona is a business. So if you want everybody's business, you gotta, as a celebrity, you gotta kind of play it down the middle. And yeah, you're gonna get a bunch of fist bumps or whatever if you play one side of the aisle. And I think that's what happened. I think that's a mistake a lot of these people made, is they said a couple of things here and there, and they're like, wow, social media really likes it. Twitter really likes it. I should say more things like this. Look how popular I am. And then they realize, like, oh, Twitter's not a real place. And I just destroyed my reputation. Now I look like a freaking lunatic because I was saying all this crazy ass shit, but I was getting upvotes from people that are themselves crazy.
Right. So yeah, what difference does it make?
Yeah. So that's why you're experiencing so many non-responses, because they're like, well, what do we say? And in the meantime, things explode and it's almost impossible to respond. It's like, well, if I respond, I'm just going to set it on fire further. That is true. These non-responses are now as problematic as the responses. Actors
They're not. Okay. Where's this article coming from?
This is coming from, I think, the Hollywood Reporter.
Okay. It's not. The only reason that it's being listed as being problematic is people like the Hollywood Reporter's writers are pissed about it. The Variety's writers are pissed about it. You didn't say what I wanted you to get up there and say, so I'm mad that you didn't say the thing. So now I'm going to try to amplify my anger on my platform, on the platform that I didn't build, that I have a warm seat at, to try to shame them from an industry publication for not saying something. But the reality is, the audience was like, oh, thank God they didn't say shit. They didn't go in there. This isn't about the people in the general public and the audience that's going to pay to go see your movies. This is about the people who get free tickets to go review it and to go kiss Hollywood's ass for insider information, that are mad that you didn't do you didn't do their thing. That's what this is about. So who gives a shit? They're not mad that you didn't say enough. People don't care. People don't want you to say shit. They're tired of hearing it. But the industry magazines, the writers are mad. That's what the whole thing's about. So we're going to amplify it and try to make it sound like it's a bunch of people, when it's just simply, these people are just mad.
Actors can try all they want to remain apolitical, but these days the internet isn't giving anyone a pass.
No,
I would say
you
also
guys aren't.
Journalists. Yes, that are not journalists. They're activists. They're bloggers pretending to be journalists. They got into these new media outlets because they work cheap. Let's be real. That's and they're happy just to be there and be able to spread their spew all over the internet. So they're going to bring up Sydney Sweeney. They said she did her best to stay out of the fray, even as her American Jeans ad or American Eagle jeans ad was stirring up a storm of criticism from online voices. Again, ignore them. Claiming the campaign's tagline, Sydney Sweeney has great genes, promoted white supremacist style eugenics.
Yeah, it didn't. And you know what?
How do you make that leap? How the fuck do you even make that leap?
Because it's obviously a joke that great genes meant great genes, like, you know, Genes.
Like you're attractive because of your genes. Yes.
It could have been any other woman who was pretty. And then because she's white with blonde hair, one dumbass decided it was because of that, and then you know, started setting it. That's what it was about, even though it wasn't. But just because, you know, remember, guys, you can tell the truth, but it's not the truth because they say it's not. But they can make up any bullshit, whatever, that they can be outraged by, even if it's a flat out lie. But that's the truth because they said so. I'm so tired of it. And then they said that she wasn't there to speak on politics. When the journalist tried to corner her to make her speak about it, and she was giving her a look like whatever. Again, the journalists trying to cause shit. You know, and then they said, well, then she got plenty of heat because it didn't help that she was a registered Republican. Well, bitch, last time I fucking checked, it's a free fucking country. And you know what? Half the country is Republican and about half the country is Democrat. And the last I checked, you are legally allowed to be whatever. And the fact that you're trying to vilify anybody who doesn't vote the same as you sounds like a bullying to try to get people to vote your way thing. It sounds like a you problem. There's nothing illegal, nothing inherently bigoted, anything worse than anything you do about anybody registered Republican. No worse than the people on Twitter, you know, in Blue Sky, where if you don't do what they want, they descend upon you and call you the most racist piece of shit names ever and are the most toxic, bullying sacks of shit you've ever seen because you didn't do what they wanted. And they're going to have a temper tantrum. So don't give me this, because it's a free country and you're allowed, and actually you're allowed to be libertarian, you're allowed to be independent. Any of these things you're allowed to be. And you don't get to sit there and vilify them and act like it's a crime. Well, she was, oh my God, she was registered Republican. Like, that's a crime. It's not a crime. Fuck off. And you know what? Your behavior here is making more people register Republican. I can tell you for a fact. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Jelly Roll, the rapper turned country star, was also. I don't even know who this guy is. Like I
know who he is.
I saw a picture. I'm like, I know who this guy is. Am I really that old that I don't know who this guy is, or do I just listen to totally different?
Actually, he's
I don't listen to rap
because
or country. So
he was in jail and stuff for years, and he got himself turned around. He got his life turned around, and he's out there and he does a lot of like positive things. So, you know, actually, he's a good example.
Well, he got slammed for trying to. I do remember this. He got slammed for avoiding politics. He said he told reporters backstage at the Grammys that people shouldn't care about his political opinions compared to literally like everybody else at the Grammys.
Well, he's right though. People shouldn't care about his political opinions, and he is in the right. And then people that are you know triggered because they're basically you know. Well, wait, I want people to care about my opinions. You say I'm not an artist now. I'm like, if it's making you feel convicted, then that sounds like a you problem. Yeah,
it's weird. So they were trying to pin down Michelle Yeoh and Neil Patrick Harris too. Neil Patrick Harris, I'm very surprised. I mean, he seems like he doesn't want to get into it too much, but they tried to get him to talk about politics. He wouldn't do it. Michelle Yeoh's like, you know, I'm not qualified basically to talk about politics.
I'm not even from your country, you know? It's like
yeah, I'm like, so this is the thing that gets me too. Like, why do people care so much what celebrities think when they are actors? You're literally, I mean, no offense, but you're literally a paid liar. Why would you care what somebody thinks about politics, right? It said no celebrity is safe from criticism, not even Taylor Swift. She practices a silent treatment for most controversial matters, but she did have an outspoken campaign endorsement for Harris.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I noticed they said that she was being pressured to use her platform. That's
what the
there.
Whole thing
That's
is.
The whole thing right there. These journalists and everything else. They aren't people who built anything. They get their asses into a warm seat that they now think that they have the megaphone that's their platform. So because everybody that does anything, if they don't want to be canceled by them, has to use their platform to go out and tell everyone how to vote because they wrongly think that that's going to make people think like, oh, well, thankfully, since Taylor Swift got up in there and said something, I'm suddenly going to change my mind on everything because the celebrity told me so. You know what? You're going to find out people don't do that.
No, and the media really is stoking the fires. The media,
the media is solely behind all this bullshit. I blame them 100%. Media and journalism and stuff like that.
What you think about Trump, huh? What you think about kids in cages, huh? And the person's probably just like, I'm sitting here thinking about what I'm gonna have for dinner after this damn thing's over, and I want to get this tux off because it's.
Or I'm saying I have to pee really bad, and I'm sitting here answering your endless political questions I don't want to answer.
And I want to answer these questions. And you can't even like eye roll. Like if somebody asked me those questions, I'd probably be visibly like, "What the hell?" But they were going after. I remember Tom Felton. They were trying to get him, and you can see it on their faces. Like he's super excited to be playing Malfoy again on Broadway. And they're like, so what do you think of that bigot J.K. Rowling? And he was just like, you could see on his face, like if I seriously could cast a death spell on you right now, I would do it, right? And he's like gritting his teeth, and he's kind of like, I think the books have made a lot of people happy, and I'm happy to be back here. And he's like, oh, you're gonna try to get me. And he knows. He knows. You're gonna try to get me.
You have to give them what they want, or we're gonna get you. We're gonna cancel you. And it's like, you know what? Once upon a time, it mattered. Hey, no one gives a shit. The Hollywood Reporter. No one gives a shit. Variety. You keep trying to cancel people. It doesn't matter anymore. All it does is make people want to see them more. So you know what? Good job. Keep it up. You're making the people that everybody, people that you want to support. Everybody hates them. Way to go. Good job.
So this is where it gets interesting because, I wondered where their publicists were and all of this every time there's like some big ass disaster. And they said, there's a top publicist, a partner at one of Hollywood's premier PR firms telling the Hollywood Reporter, I'm on high alert. It's a sensitive time. And one question about Trump on a red carpet could derail a multi-million-dollar campaign.
Yes.
Another rep agreed it's just not worth it to put your client in a sensitive position. You can get canceled in 5 seconds by weighing in on something outside your comfort zone.
Well, not just that. So they're telling them to shut up. But beyond that,
shut up, yeah.
Then you should be telling the journalists to knock it off too. Because, I'm going to tell you right now, you guys keep pushing this shit. Like when you cornered, Sydney Sweeney and stuff. All you did was make yourselves look really
they
stupid.
did, yeah.
It wasn't her that people were judging. It was you.
Here's another publicist with Oscar-winning clients. He put more succinctly, calling today's press conferences a fucking nightmare. A clip can travel around the world in an instant. It's a she. She says, if a client happens to give a flippant answer or something less informed, the short soundbite gives you no chance to please the jury at large on social media because they have no chill ever. They're looking, and the journalists love it because they're like, we can get so much mileage out of this and headlines out of this, and Billie
Eilish, are bringing her up. She got her ass roasted all over the place for her comments. All over the place for her comments because they were tone deaf and stupid.
And that's the thing. They said a lot of times they get put in the spot to answer questions about things that really are outside of their purview too. Like I remember Tom Hardy. He was doing the tour. I think it was for Mad Max. Might have been for the Venom movie, but they were asking him questions about his sexuality, and he's basically like, who gives a fuck? What does that have to do with the movie? And he was mad. Like you could tell he was legit mad about it. And I remember back in the day, David Bowie, they did the same thing to him. They were asking him questions about, and he's like, yeah, so I'm bisexual. Moving on. Can we talk about the music? And then the guy's like, well, what does that mean exactly? He's like, what the hell do you think it means? It means I like men and women. Can we talk about my music? That's why I'm here, is to talk about my music. And they do now it's like they want to know all this other shit that used to be like background details. Like, this is just something, if you're making small talk, you type. Now it's like the most important thing. What are your politics? Who did you vote for? Who do
you like to sleep with?
Who do you like to sleep with? Like, what the fuck? Let's say, and then, so you have a new album out? You have a new movie out? Yeah, we'll talk about that later after we talk about your sex life. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's so weird. But they're just going on and on about it. It's very interesting though, and I think Rachel Zegler is a case study in what not to do. I mean, it got so bad again, for those of you who don't know, Disney had to send an executive out to her apartment. A producer, that's right. Yeah, producer to her house, flew across the country to beg her to shut up, and she would not shut up. And now she's trying to do damage control after she literally cost the studio probably hundreds of millions of dollars because a lot of people did not go because of it. Same with situation with Ezra Miller and all these other, you do this stuff in public. There's a reason they used to have studio fixers, because it's not just about the star. That's the thing. Everybody's like, well, it's just their opinion. I'm like, yeah, but if they say dumb shit, they're going to cost the whole production. They're going to cost the studio. You can literally cost people their jobs by being a dumbass and saying the wrong shit because maybe we were going to do a sequel. Now we're not going to do a sequel because the movie didn't make enough money this weekend. Now all these people that thought that they were going to do a sequel, guess what? They're out of work because you couldn't keep your mouth shut because you wanted everybody to know you had flags in your bio and you were progressive and you're a good person and whatever. Well, good for you. Bad for us. Shut the fuck up.
Well, good person's, highly subjective. But anyway.
Well, according to terminally online people, right? And that's what this whole thing, and I think Twitter actually did the most damage of any platform because they really thought that they were like, man, look at all these upvotes, look at all these lights, not realizing that so much of Twitter was fake ass bot traffic anyway. And they were kind of getting played to begin with. So it's like, yeah, good for you. You're playing to this audience that doesn't even exist. And the people that are there are terminally online and they're not going to support or buy your shit anyway. Right. So we'll wrap it up with Brie Larson. And I think Brie Larson has hired somebody to do some PR for her, but she actually is super excited to be Rosalina in the Mario Galaxy movie.
Lately, she's been very quiet. I've noticed, after her very, I don't need a man to tell me what to think and all that other stuff and all her idiotic comments before. She has been very quiet lately. You haven't heard much from her. She's been doing a lot of the projects, but you don't hear her like running her mouth. I think especially after the Marvels movie too. But she is very excited about the Mario movie because she's a huge Nintendo player and she played Mario Kart all the time and stuff like that. So I think it's really good that she's out there on the carpet looking genuinely happy, seeming excited about the project and not slamming fans.
Yeah, and she actually is like beaming. Like compare this to when she did the tour for Captain Marvel. She just looked like she had a stick up her ass. And
and like I'm scowling at like you clearly hated half the audience because they were male or whatever. This one, she just looks genuinely excited to be part of it, and she's happy to be there. I like that. This has nothing to do with her personality, but I like the fact that they made her hair darker, and the blue dress looks really good on her. But to me, when you're not politically pickled 24/7, and you're not constantly having to give the message of being an activist bitch, you can easily be happy.
I know, right? Well, let's listen to this clip. It's about 30 seconds. She actually seems legitimately happy. So good for her. She's got like Disney princess energy going here.
Hi, arigatou gozaimasu. It's Brie. I'm so pleased to be here. It's a dream of a lifetime to be in this film playing Rosalina. I love Nintendo so much. I've been playing it my entire life, and so I'm so grateful to be here. Lots of love.
She actually legit seems like she's into this. She's really into
it's
this.
like she's genuinely, no, they said she was very excited to be getting this part. She's genuinely excited, genuinely. I mean, if you had showed me her there and showed me the stuff from like the Captain Marvel time, I would never have believed it was the same person. And, and she seems like much less of a bitch, less of a stick up her ass. So she actually seems very genuinely, happy. And she didn't get political. Now, people are mad that we're saying this, but it's like if someone's doing something right and they're actually they're trying to change the course and they're trying to make up for what they did or just go in a different direction or trying to be happy, I'm not going to fault them for that. I'm not, because if you start like nitpicking everything they did years ago and you only focus on that, and then you're making these purity tests, there's no way they can ever pass and all these other things, you are no different than the people you're mad at.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say, because I mean, it's like the far left, they believe that if you said something offhandedly 12 years ago and you're like, yeah, under different circumstances, I wouldn't have said it, or people misunderstood me, or maybe, I wouldn't say that thing now that I said then. There's no path forward. They will hold that over your head from now until the day you die. So there's got to be, I mean, I guess my thing is like, if you're not going to be a hypocrite, you're going to have to be like, look, people change, and sometimes they hopefully change for the better. And, sometimes people are young and stupid and they make stupid mistakes and they get over it. I mean, look at Robert Downey Jr. The dude was on drugs. He was blacklisted from Hollywood. And he was able to, kind of come back. Rob Lowe too. And so, at what point do you like hold that against them forever?
Well,
right?
It's just it. It's like, and then people are like, well, she's probably just pretending. Well, so what? If she is, if she's not, if she has her personal opinions and she's not shoving them down your throat and she's actually, towing the line and doing what she's supposed to do, then you encourage and reward that because that's what you want them to do. Because if you're just going to slam them, then they're going to be like, well, what the fuck? I might as well say what I want. You know?
Yeah,
what
no,
I mean?
exactly. I mean, that's how I am now. I just what the fuck? You think I'm awful anyway. I might as well say what I want.
You don't want to be a hypocrite. You cannot be acting the same way that you're mad, like this. You never purity test. You can't pass. And then you say one thing, and then they won't leave it. Even if you change everything, they won't let it go years later. And they try to, cancel you for it and everything else. I'm like, but if you're doing the same thing, and then you're just the same. And so I'm like, if she's out there and she's being positive, as long as she's not talking shit, you know what? Go her for at least learning and growing.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, I liked her in Scott Pilgrim and I liked her in Kong. Just that whole Captain Marvel thing. So part of me wonders on some level.
It was not even just the movie, just the way she behaved around the movie.
And the whole narrative around the movie. And I have to wonder if she, I mean, it could have been her, but I'm like, did she have a publicist that was like, this is what people want. They want woman power. So your job is going to go, you're going to go out there and you're going to give them some woman power, and it backfired. And I think honestly, if it had not been for that, her career might be in a much better place right now. Cause it seemed like she was moving pretty good until she got Captain Marvel and that whole thing. And then nobody showed up for the Marvels. And that might've been humbling too. Be like, yeah, I was in $1 billion movie. And then the sequel did like nothing.
Well, it's because people were coming to the movie because they thought they had to watch it to see the last two.
It's like, we can skip Captain Marvel, okay.
And then I don't think that the attendance was really what the attendance was. You don't have empty theaters that are sold out, if it's not some weirdness going on. But I also think that didn't help that they were playing Alita off of her either. Like instead of like, it's a win. You have two strong female characters in the box up at the same time. But then they tried to play that. There's a whole bunch of shit around it. But I'm just like, I guess it's show not tell, so we'll see how it goes. But if she's legitimately out there trying to do promotion and she's not being a bitch like she was before, then that's a good thing. That means even if she still believes that she's not saying it, so she grew in some way as a person. So I'm not going to fault her when she's not doing anything wrong.
No, not at all. That like I would like to see this for Rachel Zegler. I would like Rachel Zegler to wake up someday and just be like, you know what? Maybe I am the problem. Maybe
I don't think that's ever going to happen, for one. And two, because she's already, it's like, she's still trying to blame everybody else. And two, I don't think there's so much damage around her. I don't think she could undo it like I think Brie Larson could undo it a lot easier than Rachel Zegler could. But
Brie Larson never went anywhere near as far as
she didn't go full toxic,
Zegler.
So I don't know, but we'll see. But if she could prove us wrong. And then that's different. But I'm just like, she seems genuinely happy. She seems like she learned. She seems like she grew. I'm not going to fault her for something she didn't do.
No.
Now, because of stuff she did in the past. Because if I did that, that makes me just like the people I claim I hate. And I'm not going to do that. So there you go.
Will you consider buying a Nissan?
I don't know. I like my Kias now. I'm kind of Kia biased.
So this is true. Geeky was car shopping, and she was all about the Rogue, the Nissan Rogue.
I think so.
But then she started seeing the Brie Larson commercials, and they're so damn annoying. She didn't buy that car because of it.
It's true. And then I went and bought a Kia instead.
She's like, I could buy a Kia. I'm
still supporting Kia. I like
Kia. Kia shuts up. Anyway,
I didn't have to drop a taco, so we're
Drop a taco. All right. We're going to wrap it up.
I had to pass the kimchi. Yeah.
Pass the kimchi? That's painful. Depends on how hot it is.
Anyway, are we wrapping it up?
Yeah. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.
Bye.